I'm at 407 North Charity Street in Bethel, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. So we're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. So it looks like this is a converted septic based off of where it exits the house, but it's coming out the sidewall here. Here's the entrance. There's the stack coming down. We're going out through the sidewall here. This is the right side of the house. In between, so it's coming out just behind that first window there by the driveway. So this is all cast iron in the house, and I expect it to turn into clay as we get out. And so, yep, it immediately turns to clay here. We have a little bit of root intrusion right there, just one little tiny piece. But this all looks good for cast iron. It's all pretty ugly just because of the nature of being made out of cast iron. But once we get through that, we can get into clay here. We have a little tiny bit of root intrusion, and it looks like we have a clean out outside almost immediately. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video here. I'll tell you what, I'm going to wait until I get finished, and I'll do that when I pull back. But because it does look like there's an outside clean out in between the sidewalk, in between the driveway and the house, and that would be easier access in the future. Because it does look like we have some root intrusion. It doesn't look, it looks fairly minor here. It's not blocking the flow line, but it is starting to grow down the length of the pipe here. And this isn't uncommon for clay lines, because there are sections like this. The pipe sections are usually only about 3 feet. There are just a lot of seams, and so you'll have tree roots get in like this at the seams. And as long as you catch them before they get too big, they usually don't do too much damage. They're just getting in where the packing is shrunk at the connections. And so they will need to be maintained periodically. So I did go through a little belly here. The camera lens is only about ½ an inch off the bottom of the pipe. So for a 6-inch diameter, that may have just been mainly caused by the toilet paper sitting there in the line from recent use. Because as you see, if I pull back, looks like it's catching, there's some roots here that are catching a little bit of toilet paper, and that's why I was underwater. It's just a slight damming effect in the because of the toilet paper and stuff in the line. It just didn't get washed all the way out. So mainly all I've seen here, structurally everything looks good so far, but the root intrusion there at the joints can become an issue in the future. There's multiple treating options for that. You can either do some mechanical cleaning, or you can do some, as you can see there, that the roots are getting in there at the connection and then trying to work their way down the side of the pipe. And so you just want to make sure that you can keep these at bay, either with a chemical, or like I mentioned, there are mechanical cleaning options where they can use a machine and clean all the roots out to bring it down. And then so I don't know what I'm getting in right here. It looks like I'm up against something, but I don't know if this is more roots. I believe that's more roots. I am going to try to pull back and make a second pass here with a standoff on the camera. and see if that allows me to look at that point at about 40 feet there. So we can get a little bit further out, because that's blocking me from going any further. As of right now, the only thing I've really seen that would be an issue is some root intrusion, and that can be treated. So we want to try to identify if that blockage there is because of root intrusion, or there is a structural issue that's preventing me from going any further. So, now I'm putting on that standoff, and we're going to try to go back through here. See if I can clean off that camera head a little bit here. Okay, as soon as we get through that clay, or into that clay, it should give us a little bit better idea. And I'm going to go through it rather quick. Let's see if we can get all the way down to that 40-foot mark here. Get past all that toilet paper. Camera pretty high here, but that's what we want when we get down into this area. Okay, it still puts me under the water. Okay, yeah. Based off of what I'm seeing here, it looks like we have some structural damage. It's really hard for me to tell what exactly is going on, but looks like my camera is facing up a little bit. And there is a blockage here. But it looks like a major offset and maybe a collapsed pipe. It's really hard to fully identify, as you can see. That circular area there. I'm trying to knock it out of the way. Let's see if we can get through there, but it's really hard to identify what that actually is. Oh yeah, that pipe has dropped. You can see, starting to see the circumference of the pipe as the edge on the left and the right, where some of that stuff has been broken up. You can see where out of a 4-inch pipe here, it looks like there's probably a 1-inch opening, maybe. That should be a perfect circle in front of us, and you have a very, very small oval instead. So it looks like the upstream part of the line has fallen, and so the downstream edge of that pipe is in a little bit above the middle of where the pipeline should be. So it's up at least 2 inches, shifted at least 2 inches, probably 2.5, and that's creating basically a 2.5-inch wall in the middle of the line that the water would have to climb that 2.5, fill up to that 2.5 inches to overtake that. And so that is obviously why it's causing such a backup there. So I'm trying to be able to kind of get through it, get my camera a little clearer now, but it's something that's getting worse. There we go. So, yeah, I think we have a broken pipe here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to go locate this exact spot, mark it, so that you can get a licensed plumber here to give a quote and their evaluation of what would need to be done in this situation. But most likely it'll need to be dug up and repaired. So again, I'm going to pause the video here to get a locate. Okay, so this has been marked, and you can see past that point. I'm not sure, that looks blocked, broken down even past that point where the connection is, and I'm not sure if that's just a blockage from all the material going through and getting stuck, or how far past this point there is damage. You're about roughly 15 to 20 feet off the front of the house, just inside the driveway, and it is, or to the left of the driveway if you're standing in the driveway. It's 2'11" to the invert, which is the inside bottom of the pipe. So it's roughly 2'7" to the top of the pipe. So it is shallow. It should affect the cost. It isn't very deep, but again, you still have some root intrusion and all that. Again, obviously I was unable to get past that point. But so far up to that point, the line looked good structurally until you hit that point. There was some, small amounts of root intrusion that would have to be maintenance, but at this point, you're going to need to repair that point at about 40 feet. And then while that is open, or just after it, would probably be a good idea to have the rest of the line inspected past that point. They'll know is that when they open it, they'll know how far they have to go from that point. But with that being broken down, you don't know if that break continues for 10 feet of pipe or 3 feet of pipe. So the first step would be to obviously dig that up and repair it, and then from there, in the future, there would at least be some maintenance to be done with these roots. But I'm also going to stop while I'm here. Looks like I'm pulling back some of the roots actually. I'm going to stop right about here underneath this clean out, and I'm going to get another mark just to locate where that outside clean out is, so if future access is needed, then you know exactly where it is. Okay, so I also put a flag here for this for that clean out. I poked around a little bit with my probe. I couldn't find anything above the surface, but I did put the flag there where my locate is, and I felt something underneath there. So there probably is a clean out there. I mean, it looks like it. You can see the opening from above. So, and it's right past the turn. So if you excavated there, you would find a clean out. It would be an old clay clean out. So maybe a weird little concrete cap or something on there. But we are all the way back through and out where the out of the line. So again, just to reiterate what I previously said, I'm going to have to dig up that point at about 40 feet here on the video anyway. It is marked out front with a green flag and some green paint. It is 2'11" deep to the invert. So you probably have to go about 3 feet down, 2 to get around the pipe. And then the clean out also up by the house is marked with the green flag, and it's labeled as clean out. My suggestion is going to be obviously to repair the spot marked out in the yard, and then have it re-inspected, or at least inspect the remainder of the line. And just for future reference, there would be some maintenance needed to resolve those, the root intrusion. There are other answers that could be permanent, but they're much more expensive. So you can either maintenance it or inquire about the other options with the plumber when contacted about the repairing the spot in the front yard. But that'll end the inspection at 407 North Charity Street in Bethel, Ohio.